There we go. Everyone, hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. Man, it's, sorry, I am personally behind just a little bit here. Everyone, I hope that you're doing well and welcome into the program. So today on the show, we have the one, the only, Danavation. If you haven't heard about Danavation, then you're in for a treat. So that'll be for the first segment, will be Danavation. And in the second segment, we will be doing computer and technology news. And that is a segment where we cover all the latest news of the day. That will be, new products. Let's see, computer and technology news. Again, I apologize, a little bit behind schedule. We should be good to go though. Okay. Yeah, and we can even delete that as well. So, but that'll be in the second part. You don't want to miss that. In the first part, though, as always, we like to have a guest, and our guest is Danavation. If you want to find out more about them, danavation.com, but I think the best place to hear about them will be right here on Computer America, because we'll have the CEO of the company here to tell us all about their story, what they do, how they do it, all that kind of thing, and it'll be a lot of fun. I always enjoy having these interviews where we can kind of go in depth and see what it is that they do differently than anyone else in the field. So, with that being said, John's waiting patiently in the wings, and let's go ahead and just say real quick, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including past shows, future shows, all the shows. We have a couple more to put up here shortly, and then we will be doing, of course, today's show as well. We'll have that up later on this afternoon in case you miss it. There's, of course, the podcast that you can catch as well. But, thank you for tuning in live to IRN. And, hey, we definitely want to welcome you. Now, all that being said, the last thing I want to mention is, of course, our giveaway. Yep, Computer America has officially been on for 30 years. Yeah, this will be our 30th year beginning in February. So all month long, we're doing a giveaway, hundreds of prizes. And of course, we're getting prizes from some of our favorite guests to also put up. And hey, we want to make sure there are as many winners as possible as a way to say thank you for joining us for 30 years. And we're very, very happy that, hey, that you could help us become what it is that we have become. Now, with that being said, everyone, I hope that you had a great Valentine's. I hope that a lot of people out there are dealing okay with the weather. I know that Texas in particular has been hit very, very hard with rolling blackouts and the like, and just those freezing temperatures that don't get me started on all the social media backlash about people saying like, 4 inches of snow and Texas collapses. It's there's a lot more to it, but I digress. Everyone, let's go ahead and just get started with our interview, and then we can talk more about that during computer and technology news. And as I said before, Danavation, that's right. They're a Technologies Corp, and they are a leading provider of micro e-paper displays in North America. This, of course, includes smart labels, and of course, you can think of all the different ways that a low-cost e-display can really change how we, kind of operate day to day. And in such a throwaway kind of system that we have, I think sustainability is hugely important. And I think an innovation like this is a nice, crossroad between reusability and also just kind of low cost, because, obviously you can have much higher cost solutions, but it has to be affordable, and it has to work. And I think the best way to do just that is going to be with our guests. So let's go ahead and talk to our guest. So joining us today is the CEO, Mr. John Ricci. I apologize. Ricci. Perfect. There we go.
So I'm good.
Well, we're going to call you John, and we're going to call you John Ricci. So thank you so much for joining us here on Computer America. How you doing?
Thanks. Thank you. I'm doing great. I'm in Toronto, so I'm enjoying our snowstorm. But I'm doing great.
Perfect. Yeah, it is quite a snowstorm indeed, and I'm glad that you are, that you're holding out and everything's going well for you. Let's see, I'm having a little bit of problem resizing your video, so we'll work on that here in just a second. But everyone, he's joining us by video, and by the way, you sound perfect, which is great for me running behind. But I think a good place to start, John, would be a little bit of background on yourself. Have you always been in technology, or is your background in, kind of entrepreneurship? What is your background? And talk about the beginning of Danavation. What was the, what was the impetus behind starting a company like this?
Great. Thank you for the intro. I appreciate the opportunity of being here. I'm John Ricci. I'm President, CEO of Danavation. Danavation started, we founded a company 2 years ago as a startup within my other company, Dana Industries, who's been a big player in the retail landscape for about 30 years. Dana Industries is a designer and manufacturer of everything at shelf visual merchandising systems, such as shelf talkers, blades, wobblers, danglers, dealing with many of the top retailers in North America, something we've done and continue to do so in-house with our own manufacturing capabilities. We deal with a lot of different customers, and it seems to be a little bit more of the tech-savvy customer coming to the table, asking questions. You made a really, really good point when you introduced me, mentioning sustainability and paper, etc. One of the big things in the retail world in terms of pricing systems is the fact that nothing's changed in over 30 years. It's a antiquated paper label system, paper, perf paper, inks, toner cartridges, landfill issues, waste, tedious tasks, etc. So, and part of our trying to get current and get newer with some of our offerings, some nudging by our customer base, we got into the digital smart label industry, which addresses some of the problems that the retailers have had for years, such as high labor costs, incorrect pricing, low productivity, static pricing, all kinds of things that, well, you have our presentation on the screen.
Well, yeah, and by the way, for anyone out there watching the video portion, you can see myself, of course. You can see our guest. Thank you for providing video, and of course, we'll have the website here, so we'll we'll kind of introduce people to your products on your site. But I wanted to kind of talk about kind of what was the kind of the system before a smart label, because I've been to the store, there are labels there, and generally it's like they just stick like a 50% off or 20% off label, leave the customer to kind of do the math. And while it's not particularly kind of hard to figure out what 10% of something is, it can be I guess, like you were saying, kind of labor intensive, and it's almost like a Band-Aid for a solution. It's not an actual like replacement for, I guess, the problem, right?
Yeah. So picture this, the old system. You have Ben Grocer's 50 store chain, and you change 2,000 SKUs a week. The current system, you're either batching and sending out to each individual store, or you're batching it, sending out to a third-party mail-out company that does all the printing on perf paper, then sends it to each store. The store gets their complement. It's up to each store manager, assistant manager, and staff to implement the store changes. So you're putting your hands in those labels. You're taking old prices out, putting new ones in. You're going through a checklist, matching up UPC codes, aisle by aisle by aisle, and you have to hope that A, the pricing is correct from source, B, that you've got everything in your store complement, and C, that nothing gets missed when your associates are putting their new pricing on the shelf. There'll be interruptions. Customers, excuse me, can I talk to you a second? I'm looking for something. It's a whole up and down process. We've seen teams of 3 and 4 people take days to implement pricing. And you're doing this once a week, let alone if you want to react to today's snowstorm, for example, and you want to react and you put certain things on special, or you have some new products that you want to launch today, or just reacting to a world event, what have you. Right. So the old system is, and it's just the static, and here you go. You can't do anything with it. A DSL, by the time you hit batch to your price points, new prices, your system's updating each tag in the store, and your product is the label updated immediately. So you can conceivably have a 12:01 a.m. schedule for your price SKU changes hitting tomorrow morning. Store managers walk in the store tomorrow at 7 o'clock, everything's done.
So, and of course, talking about, some of the deals, I guess that's people can, kind of work with, and I'm thinking like right off the top of my head, that I'll admit I don't know exactly how this pricing kind of works, but I thought there was some kind of agreement between, if it's a larger chain like you were talking about with tens of thousands of outlets and tons of employees and deals. I'm sure that there's overarching, whatever a candy bar costs, and then I thought it was up to like the individual stores to set the price that they get their cut and that kind of thing. The immediacy, I guess, of it would, like you said, a manager walks in and suddenly all the prices are different. How does that work with the workflow of the storefronts that are expecting maybe a certain amount of, not commission, but, a certain amount of price of the product? How does this affect the retailers when something goes on sale or changes price unexpectedly? Is there any friction that goes on there?
Well, no, the retailers are the people setting the price point. So we're integrating with the retailer's POS system. So it's the retailer who has the 100 stores and 25,000 SKUs in the store. He's setting his prices. It doesn't come from the brand, although we have a couple of brands that are interested in controlling their own price points within the retailer. That is a separate
issue. Gotcha.
Target market. But in this case here, you're just basically saving the retailer, or the retailer saving all the steps that are involved in pricing or doing his SKU changes. So you did say there is no more paper, there's no more ink, there's no more toner cartridges lying around. The beauty of the system is very low power. There is no wiring required at the shelf. It's as simple as putting a base station in your ceilings that basically integrate with your server to head office and your POS system. As your prices are changed at head office, you're changing 2,000 SKUs today, and each store gets those price updates. You could have different geographical areas have different price points. So you could have the same item being priced differently from East Coast to West Coast. Things like that. Yeah. The retailer is the one controlling the price point. So this is to make him more efficient. And what happens, because we're asked what happens to the employees that do all these price changes, et cetera. Well, you're basically giving these people more important tasks, such as making sure inventory is available, servicing customers, making sure stocks are shelved, and anything else to do with the day-to-day operation of the store. So it's a very tedious task that we're eliminating. Also, in this COVID world, we're also taking away a touch point. So less people touching that shelf. It's a cleaner, aesthetically pleasing system that involves, there's no more hand in, hand out at shelf.
Yeah, and I think you just cleared up what the confusion on my part was, that you're providing the system, you're providing, I guess, kind of like the hardwired solution, but then it is up to the individual client to control their own pricing and things like that. And that's going to be super important for them to have that control. Like, you're not adding another layer between, as broken as the paper labeling system was, I'm sure that if all these clients had to go through Danavation to change prices, that would be, again, another layer that they wouldn't want to do. But you're saying that your customers have direct control over what is displayed, and yeah, gotcha.
So you can control whether it's one store or 1,000 stores, you control all your pricing from one central location, or if you could have an individual store if you like. But the whole idea is simply integrating. You control your price points, you set your prices. You can change pricing every day if you'd like, and there's no extra paper and no extra nothing. So
yeah, and there are certain products that are very much like that. I'm thinking like some consumer goods like milk and things like that the price does fluctuate a lot, and I'm sure that being able to quickly to be able to quickly do that. And then I guess another part of this would be to if, let's say, a store redesigns their layout, I'm assuming it'd be perfectly possible that if this used to be, let's say, the sneakers aisle, rearrange the shelves, put the labels where they need to be, but then you could have it go from, all the SKUs and everything for sneakers, and just have it display everything for, we're looking at basketball jerseys, so that's what's in my head, jerseys instead. Like, one product will last you longer than just, I guess, as long as that piece of product stays on that shelf, on that particular shelf.
Yeah, for sure. You could actually repair these DSL tags over and over again, so you don't have to move anything other than the product. So you clear it out and repair it to the product that's sitting in front of on the shelf.
Very, very cool. And by the way, if you're watching the video portion, you can see these micro e-paper displays. Some of the features, I guess aside from your typical black and white SKU numbers and what have you, you say here that you have 5 color LEDs. So I think that even there's so much money that goes into marketing and making things kind of appeal and pop and catch people's attention. Multiple colors on the label, I guess, would help people discern at a glance if something is what the price is, and just those added colors might help as well. Just organize it in people's heads.
So what's great about our system is we could add color, so we can put black. Well, there you go. There's some examples of, we can make this label look exactly how you want it to look. So we have a template system, and we work with your PDFs, and we can create anything that you want on the system. We put yellow on them, red, black, yellow. We have an 8-color display coming out, the only one in the industry that we're very, very proud of. But this is something that is attractive to the customer. You could also put QR codes on these, display product reviews, other information that's pertinent to the consumers to have access to relevant information at shelf. We're trying to create an engaging system that it's not just for the benefit of the retailer, but a system such that a customer will get some enjoyment out of interacting with the pricing as we build an NFC codes and RFID. And like I said, the UPC codes, we're also looking at AR down the road. So a lot of cool things that we're working on with our tech team that's going to unleash the power of our software.
Yeah, not this year, but the year previous. I definitely saw a lot of interest around AR and the ability to kind of walk around and have things kind of automatically kind of pop out, or people to
that's a coolest thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And then, of course, being able to pull out your phone and, kind of see the product, maybe a 360 view, and be able to, kind of get more details like that. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of innovation that can happen there. And these kind of codes and labels and things like that. It seems like this is going to be obviously a change, and I guess a bigger part of that is it's going to be an investment. What retailers do you feel are going to be, or I should say, what retailers are your primary market? Who are your customers? What's an ideal setting for a smart label?
Okay, great question. I mean, the obvious one when we play in that playground is the retail grocers. SKU changes, whether it's meat and produce, rapidly moving price changes, world events, different crop cycles, weather conditions affecting the cost of product and groceries from the depots for the retailers to have access to. So we initially looked at that market. Our initial marketing campaign was automate your pricing at the shelf, automate your pricing. In fact, that's actually on our service vehicles. However, in the last few months, it just hasn't been an automate pricing play. It's automate information at the shelf. We're working with a healthcare provider in San Diego who's automating patient records, for example, on room number signs with immediate nursing station changing of patient records to give to a doctor based on icon-based displays. We're working in distribution warehousing to automate that process, which is very tedious. And when you see the lights and the flashing pick and pack type scenario, it's a very good system. We're working with a couple of military bases to automate, again, inventory management, but also automating the maintenance schedules for military equipment upkeep. 1 hour in the air equals 4 or 5 hours of maintenance on the ground, things like that. Having access to inventory and parts quicker, make the whole process a little quicker, saving money and getting more in less time in a base. We're also automating. We've had to call animal shelters and hospitals to automate patient or pet records.
Yeah.
In kennels, in adoption centers, things like that. So it's not just a price play anymore. It's automating information anywhere a person would have access to information, and the quicker the update is made, the better experience that customer or the person will have. And that's where we're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a price point.
It's actually funny that you mentioned adoption centers. I just went out and got a cat today. So, yeah, every single little, thank you. But yeah, every single kennel had like their paperwork kind of clipped to it. And there was, it was a system that was not ideal, but of course they just made it work. And I know that you don't know this, but I do have to say that before Computer America, one of my other jobs was a drug maker. I was a pharmaceutical engineer is the official title, but essentially I push things around that you don't want to, inhale. One of the big problems was that that a lot of the equipment was held on with laminated labels and zip ties. And I think that a digital smart label would have been great to have, kind of an equipment, kind of like an equipment storage place. And the problem is that we had a lot of different companies with a lot of different processes, and they'd last for 3 months, 2 months, 6 months, a varying amount of time. And then when it was done, you had to rip everything off, you had to clean everything, and you had to make sure that there was no trace of the previous process to avoid any kind of confusion with labeling and that kind of thing. So I think that even in manufacturing, where you have to keep processes and equipment separate from one another to avoid contamination, it would be very convenient, I guess, in my head, to kind of apply a smart label to something like that you could, very quickly at a scan, at a glance, immediately see that, hey, this doesn't belong here or this does belong here, and, make it automated. That sounds great.
It's funny you said it, because we actually had a call from a pharma company, and we're working on a 3,000 SKU per location system, and we know we can help them, and they reached out for just that reason exactly. I mean, a lot of what we have to look at here is it's information and access to it, and how quickly it's updated. That's a big thing. Sometimes, you can have disastrous results if you're basing a decision on outdated information. So we're just trying to streamline processes just to make an overall better experience, and it tightens up security in companies. It also tightens up operations in companies, and it just makes for a little bit more of a sleeker system that that's going to be a little bit less.
So, yeah, for sure. And I think that a lot of people out there might be thinking, great idea. I mean, it should be pretty obvious when you think of the parts, where it's smart labels mixed with a whole system that's going to be cloud connected, and it's going to update information quickly. Great idea. You implemented it. You have a company. You're up and running. But I think that there is a whole back end that, if I've interviewed enough companies, I know that putting the labels out there is one thing, but maintaining the infrastructure, being able to have wireless connectivity, and being able to actually, I guess, implement these solutions, because let's face it, you have essentially a little monitor on in some cases, I'm sure dozens of monitors on an individual shelf. That sounds like a tall order, I think, for anyone out there that manages a large storefront. That's like, oh, great, now I have to set up 200 TVs instead of just a bunch of paper labels. Talk about the setup process, what you had to do in the back end. I mean, browsing here on your website, obviously the next thing here is this wireless base station that you have. Talk about the back end, and talk about the setup for, I guess, your customers when it comes to implementing this.
Excellent. So if we were called into a store, we do a store assessment. Our tags come in various sizes, anywhere from 1.5 to 9.12. So we do an in-store check. We check for range. Each one of these base stations can scan about a 7,500 square foot area. So in an average grocery store, we put 4 of these in. So it's as simple as PoE cabling this unit right to the server in a store. These hang in the ceiling, 4 or 5 of them max. That's basically it for that. Once we do our range test, our engineers integrate with a company's POS system. So it's a couple of days of integrating our home base to the system. And we work with a bunch of different POS providers right now, so we're getting really good at it. But we're talking it's a 2 or 3 day process. Right. In most cases, tops 4. Very easy. There's no stress to the retailer. We do all the work. So it's our engineers meeting with your POS provider's engineers. So we integrate, We just get our system to talk to your system. We assume that you have all of your products in your system based on UPC codes, because it's a UPC code based system. Once the base station's in and it's active and everything is paired, we put data strips on the shelves. We manufacture our own data strips. We've been doing it for 30 years, so we have the upper end in that, our own data strips and clips and hardware. We integrate with Lozier, Madex, Edelix, the various shelving fixture companies in North America. We work with them all. Like I said, we've had 30 years experience. So you snap those on. We click on the DSL in specific areas. Could be 5,000, 6,000, 10,000, what have you. And we work with the retailer, what size you want for what specific area. We have freezer-proof units for the freezers. We have sprayer-proof units for produce that withstand all the sprayers that come on schedule. So we line up the whole store. We pair as we install, and it's as easy as a PDA device hitting the UPC code on a package, hitting the tag. Each tag has an ID. You hit pair. You could put them all up and pair 500 at a time if you like. But a 40,000 square foot store can be done in 3 days with no interruption, because as we're doing the install, your tags are live. So you may have for a day or two live areas with DSLs and your static pricing, but in no way is your store shut down. So as long as that product is in your system, it gets paired. That's basically it.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got it down to the point where after your engineers are there, changing price seems like it would take just as long as if you were to change prices on, using paper, because you have to go to each one, take the old one out, put the new one in. It wouldn't take much longer to actually implement this once it's all set up and running. So
once they're paired, that's it. Once you pair the product and it's sparked up live, that's it. You never have to touch it again, because your system's going to automate that price for you.
And then, of course, for the for the actually what it actually displays, that would be, I guess, up to the retailer to kind of push the update out. And instead of having an army of people rushing to change prices, I guess you would just have to have a couple of people who were savvy in. Is it a system by Danavation, or what system do you actually use to actually change the displays? You mentioned PDFs and things like that.
Yeah, well, you match your PDF on your static printing, but it's a PDF looking. We have our own software system that integrates, and basically it's e-ink technology. So it's
are they touch sensitive? I should have asked this, but like all these deals here, some of the bigger ones, can you swipe? I know that the website's doing it, but are they touch sensitive, or are they strictly display?
Strictly display e-ink. So it doesn't matter what angle you're looking at them from. You're going to see a nice, clean, clear view of the label. There is the early days, there was LCD technology where if you touched it, you'd get that fade, like your thermostats on a wall. Nothing like that. This is like your Kindle.
Better because it has that range of colors. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it's perfect. So there's that, and then of course I just had another question, but just completely fell out of my head. But so the power consumption. There we go. I'm sorry. And obviously being e-ink, I would assume the power consumption is very low.
Yeah. So each one of these has batteries. They're very thin batteries with a 10-year battery life. 10 years. If you updated these tags once a day, they will last you 10 years. And we offer an unlimited lifetime warranty on them. Our system is so good. We have a fraction of a percent failure rate. We replace anything that we'd have to. So that goes from our PDA devices to our base stations to the tags themselves. But a 10-year battery life with no power at the shelf. You can move them anywhere. You can basically update information anywhere in your building. If we just go through not just pricing, but information without having to putting a wire, drilling a hole, you can put this anywhere. And we have some really, really exciting news coming out in the next couple of months with some of our new technology that we're launching.
Yeah, you already mentioned the 8 different colors. I'm sure that I can only assume, and you don't have to answer this, but a lot of these are static images and maybe something to do with moving images. I mean, to be able to see obviously QR codes and prices, people don't want to sit there and wait for those images to kind of to change so they could see it. But maybe I have seen motion e-ink displays. They're not very powerful, but they do exist.
Yeah, we call those eye motion, and there's a layer, there's a light, and the light comes on in different sequence patterns with an overlay of the graphic, which will make it look like your arrow, for example, is coming from the right to left or left to right, or there's drop down or a frame comes on and off. So it's all based on battery flash and overlaying graphics on e-ink display. So we actually have a product called iMotion that
Gotcha.
looks after that.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. So there's that, and again, all the back end, you handle all of that. Now, talk about the software part, and this is the part that the everyday consumer won't be able to see, but other people will be dealing with this. I assume, like you said, daily. That's they can update this whenever they want, but. Kind of even beyond that, it looks like I would assume that if it works with your point of sale system as well, it could give you more information than just kind of what's being displayed. I would assume that your software would kind of give you an idea of what's selling. Like, do you give statistics on sales and what's selling and that kind of thing, and what you've changed?
Now you're going to go after our secret sauce, and like all I can say is we have some exciting new developments where it's we are a software company. It's just not the e-ink displays themselves, but software where the customer engagement becomes a lot more important. Analytics will become a lot more important.
It's something that. And sorry to cut you off there. I just got to say that there are a lot of companies that I've noticed that are really going vertical with it by saying that we can integrate. And I guess your argument for this would be we integrate the pricing and I guess the attention that we can grab consumers, and we can look at the sales data and say that this process works for your customers. This is kind of lacking behind. We can change this. We recommend that. AI, I'm guessing. I mean, that has to come in at some point. That you're a tech company, so yeah.
AI is coming into play. There's facial recognition, which could be controversial depending on who you're speaking with. But a lot of what we do is we can integrate with companies that provide those types of services right now. Although we have some less intrusive products coming out, but you got to be careful with some of these. I mean, it's great for the retailer, but we're also conscious of like we're all people, and we have families, and we have business. But there's some things that where do you draw the line with your systems, and how much information do you want to retrieve? So
I think there's a lot of people that and these are the customers that you're working with, but I think a lot of everyday consumers would be surprised at at the level of sophistication that current systems already are. Like being able to tag your cell phone and being able to kind of track your movement throughout the store and seeing what where you go, what you do, what you purchase, what you don't purchase. You mentioned that you were your secret sauce is data, and that data is already being collected. Now it's down to better utilizing the data in, I guess, smart and efficient ways. And, it doesn't have to be about squeezing every dollar out of people's pockets. It can also be about efficiency. People don't want to waste their time if they're looking for two things that are on opposite sides of the store. The store can be optimized, I guess. So data is not a bad thing, at least not in my experience.
Yeah. Today's consumer is looking for speed and just the tech savviness of the retailer. So it is about getting somebody in and out of a store pretty quick, especially this day and age, both because the consumer wants to go in and out, but the retailers, with our limited 50% capacities or 70 to 80%, need to have customers come in their stores, buy what they want to buy. You don't want to force them out, but you want to politely hope that they find everything that they're looking for and then leave. We have to remember as a consumer with this, I mean, we all get concerned about, Are we paying too much for our food and groceries, etc.?
Right.
Prices are going up. We have to look at, this is why I'm seeing both sides. What exactly are the reasons why we pay more for food sometimes? It's not just because everyone thinks, oh, the retailer is just putting up the price. It doesn't work that way. I've done this a long, long time. You could have weather conditions affecting a crop, and therefore the fruit that month or week is more expensive because supply and demand, and there are some issues on the farms, for example. But when you become operationally more efficient, there's probably a less chance that you'll start bumping your margins to recover that loss. So managing food loss, expired items becomes critical with a system that we're running. Just-in-time inventory, having inventory on the shelf at the right time, being able to order ahead of time, recognizing economies of your buy and purchasing is a big deal. Accurate pricing. A lot of stores have, you go to buy a carton or a case of Diet Coke and it's $4.99 at the shelf. You go to the cash register and she tells you it's $5.49 because the price was either changed in error or wasn't changed. Therefore, that purchase becomes discounted at 50%, or it has to be offered for free. So price inaccuracies contribute to why margins again hike up. So becoming more operationally efficient to the retailer should provide, and based on 30 years, and I just know how a lot of these people think that you can stabilize pricing pretty quick, and then being able to match competitors' pricing. You go to any grocery store, any store for that matter, you'll see all over the wall, we match competitors' pricing, we match competitors' coupons, we price match. Everyone does it. Our system is going to be able to help with all that automatically, really efficiently, and it'll help the retailer, but it's also going to help the consumer. You want to know that if I'm shopping and I'm in front of this product, I can buy it. It's a pretty safe bet. It's a good price. Otherwise, I'll take up my phone and I'll start showrooming in the store like everybody else does right now. So there's a lot of things going on in stores that retailers have to be taking note of. And we're here to address, we want to have a win-win for consumers and the retailer.
So and not to, John, this one's free. You mentioned that, being able to change once a day, is certainly within reason for a lot of products, but I'm thinking specifically things like produce and meat and things that have a set expiration date, that if there's a way, and no royalties, you can have this for free. If there was a way to, let's say a steak is $9 a pound, and that's what you start out at. That's great. And let's say that 3 days later, if that steak hasn't sold, you have to repackage it or relabel it at half the price just to get it off your shelf so it doesn't spoil.
Exactly.
I think for consumers, it would be nice for consumers that, the day of, it's fresh, it's good to go, it stays that $9. And then instead of waiting that 3 days and, not making the sale and immediately slashing the price down for the retailer, it'd be nice to have the system automatically kind of staircase that down, $8.99, $8.49, $7.99. And then of course for the consumer, it's great because, hey, if you get it the second day and it's still there, you're not paying full price, and you don't have to walk by something that you would otherwise get. And of course it would save one person money and it would make the other person money, and I guess meeting in the middle would be something great. And you're saying that you're already doing that, so you can definitely have it for free then.
Great. Well, you play that through, right? You think about what happens if it doesn't sell at the day 3 or day 4, then it goes to day 7, day 8. At some point it becomes food loss and it gets thrown out. All that contributes. So a retailer is looking at his monthly, and our food loss, guys, is 3.5% this month. Therefore, where is that margin going? And therefore, we have to bump to get our margins back. So a lot of this has meant that's a really, really good point, and that's a fantastic system that we have going. And you've seen that everywhere, right? You see that red sticker slapped on a package of meat, or something, or in a refrigerator, and you have to have a person that's basically walking the store on a regular basis looking for the expiry dates on the cans in the bottom, or any box for that matter, or any expiry date. So that's critical information that you want to stay ahead of.
So something that I always ask of our guests, and especially because hey, we're tech centric here, security always comes into play. And if you want to talk about mislabeling things, I'm sure that someone who can just connect with their Bluetooth and change the prices themselves would not be happy, or at least the store owners would not be happy if people were hacking into their point of sale system or changing the labels for fun. Talk about security and how has that come into play when designing this product.
So it's a separate system we run on with your system. We don't have any security issues on our frequency. It bypasses any kind of interference in cell phone. It can't be hacked. I should have started off by saying we're the only company in North America that has started this type of product. So we're founded in Canada. We're founded in North America. We're not an outside company from outside our borders. North America borders, I would mean. So our security with our server base, we have our own disaster recovery system in place at our own servers in our office. Our data is protected. It's protected from outside interference and outside hacking. And we keep a real tight level system in place to prevent that.
Perfect. Yeah, you will, and judging by some of the fields that we have here, including healthcare, you will be dealing with a lot of people that want to make sure that the information is kept under wraps, and yeah, that kind of thing. So, perfect. So, with that being said, also on your website, if anyone out there would like to go check that out, I see here that you have a couple of food, places, bakeries and delis and places like that, but case studies as well. I'll broaden this to just how has the consumer reaction been, because this is, like you said, this is new, this is different, and it's only been possible in the past couple of years thanks to I guess the price coming down on e-ink, and of course wireless technology really coming into its own, and of course Nelson, who you've worked with, also helped us connect us to another wireless company, Edgewater Wireless, that's really shows that wireless is developing all the time and getting to a place that something like your system is possible. Just testimonial. How have your customers reacted to your system?
Customers love this because it's sleek. It has an efficient look to it. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's just very clean. It's very legible. The impression I'm getting with customers looking at this is the company's digital pricing means that they're keeping pricing up to date, and it shows that it's current. Like, we've all been in stores and you've seen handwritten signs that look like they were written 6 months ago. In a lot of cases they were. So it's just a very current, clean looking system. And again, going on the pain point of touch, we're taking away the touch zones in stores. We've got some great testimonials from not just customers, but store owners on our website. We've got case studies. We have how did it update videos. We do case studies. We've got some new ones coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Very nice.
I should also mention that I didn't mention when I got on that we've been public now, going on 5 weeks.
Oh, congratulations!
DVN on the CSE in Canada. So that's been exciting for us. It's getting us some really good exposure, and you'll see a lot of Danavation in the next coming months.
Perfect. Yeah. And congratulations on going public. That's always a very stressful time for a lot of companies. And I'm glad that you're able to, kind of make that transition. That's awesome. So congratulations to that. You seem like you have a lot of plans for the future. You have your hands full in the current with, I guess, implementing these. And hey, you could not have picked a better time with, of course, coronavirus, launching. I'm sure that threw a lot of plans up in the air. But you seem like you are getting everything under control and actually finding ways to kind of point out that, hey, this is going to be a solution to a problem that a lot of places are having, again, with your talk of touch points. So one other area I did not get to yet was the revenue model. Obviously, kind of paying for the installation or paying for the system is going to be one thing, but on an ongoing basis, what does Danovation's revenue model look like? So
we use it's a platform as a service. So it'll be a monthly. So when you compare your monthly way of doing your current system, you'll see that it's very economical doing or putting a DSL system in place. So it's like a cell phone, right? So it's monthly. It includes your software and your hardware and your extended warranties, what have you, in your service. And you sign a 4 or 5 year contract, and that's it. Everything gets done for you. And away you go.
Perfect.
So we made it as easy as possible, and we have some, anyone interested, contact us. We give you some ROI information. We can do a study based on what you're currently running in your stores and what your challenges are and your problems, and we can run you through our whole system from start to finish. And in most cases, you'll find that the system's for you. On this LCBO, like we keep flashing here, it's the world's largest retailer of alcohol and spirits, and they're based in Ontario. And there's a fantastic video of the LCBO pilot on the presentation.
Right. Yeah. And of course, all that information and more in the show notes. We'll have a link to your site so people can definitely, and I'm sure this is the video right here with the director of innovation. Seems like your website is very well done. So I have to say thank you for that. Made this interview very, very easy. But this whole thing, let's face it, humans are dominantly visual. I mean, that is our dominant sense. Of course, they're, the visually impaired. I mean, I don't think that... I don't think a system like yours at the moment would have anything for that. The only thing I can imagine is if maybe a visually impaired person could, maybe tap something, or maybe not even tap something, but wave their phone near something, and it could have like an audio indication as well.
Yeah,
but but this does solve a problem that. And also makes it more engaging, I guess, for people that see all those labels and that kind of thing. So, this has been. Again, Computer America is more of a consumer-facing product, but I mean, this has been a very fascinating interview, and I have to say that for businesses and putting something like this together, it's hard to imagine that the cost of the actual hardware seems like it's going to go down year after year, and something like this, if I'm being honest, seems like it will be the norm in a couple of years. Do you think, or I know that you certainly hope that's the case, but do you see something like this only being more and more competitive as time goes on?
Yeah, but like I said, we design and engineer our own hardware and software, so we have an upper hand on it. Of course, we see that this is the future. Close your eyes. Do you imagine paper labels and handwritten signs in stores, or do you see digital, where it's about quick pricing, updates, making it consumer friendly, customer friendly, engaging your customer? That's the way of the future. We have a lot more tech savvy customers in our stores than we did 20, 30, and 40 years ago. So times are changing, and this addresses a need to change with the times. I mean, everybody has that smartphone on them, and we live with it, and we firmly believe this is the way of the future.
Yeah, for sure. Much to that point, a little feature of Chrome that I didn't even realize until a couple days ago, I found it very cool that you can actually create QR codes, just right clicking and anywhere in Chrome, and you can make QR codes for any website. I remember having Brookstone on the show about 10 years ago when they first introduced QR codes.
QR codes, exactly. They did. Yeah.
Yeah. And they came on the show to announce them, and it was like, wow, that's really cool. And, the popularity didn't, kind of launch right at the beginning. But, the ability to have even, like all the information. It's not even about, you have showed us a lot of great examples of what it looks like to, kind of have displays with different, prices and scan codes and things like that, but having not just some information on the product, but all the information of the product right there is super valuable, I'm sure, to the customer and to the retailer. So, we've touched on a couple of these, but I'll go ahead and let you answer it one more time, John. What's the future of Danavation?
Software, more software. So we have a great software team. We're embedding our system, our units with all kinds of goodies, and we'll be unleashing features unlike like people have seen in this industry in years. So we're looking forward to, we have like a dynamic team. We're full of ideas. We're making these sleeker, thinner, longer battery life, longer range base stations that'll allow us to go into areas that range is not an issue anymore. So we're looking forward to not just automating pricing, but a lot more on the information side, and we feel that's where the future will lie for us.
Yeah, and hey, it's I certainly want to thank you for coming on the show and talking to us about this. This has been. Again, I always love interviews that it's not like they're creating something completely, like crazy off the wall. Like I honestly try to avoid companies that come on the show and are like, we have a brand new battery that no one's ever seen before, and it's going to revolutionize everything. No, your company is producing its own e-ink displays, and they have a system to update those displays in a real-time and efficient manner. Like, the technology's there, putting it all together and implementing it is really your strong suit. And I think that leads to the best kind of innovation, Danavation innovation. I totally get it. But with that being said, I'm going to let you have one more chance, John. Is there anything that we didn't touch on before we wrap up this interview? Anything that you feel like you want to expand on?
Yeah, I can just leave it with this. So we're always asked, why Danavation? Mm-hmm. I touched on it. We're a Canadian company. We're a North American-based company. We feel our strength is we'll give our customers home field advantage. That's all I can say. We're here. We work with people. We have 24/7 support. Our chat lines. Anyone can call the company and ask for me. I answer the phone, so I'm not hiding behind a desk. My tech team is second to none. We have a dynamic sales force. We've got great inside people. So we're here, and we're hoping to be here for a real long time. It's not what you say that defines you. It's, if something goes wrong, are you going to be there? Like we feel that we're not perfect, but we would make anything right if something went wrong. But we also feel that the chances of things going wrong with us are a lot slimmer than if you went with somebody else. So we're very proud of what we've done so far. We're proud of the fact that we're public, and we're proud that we're picking up some real good retailers, and we've got our name out there, and we get a lot of calls every day, and we're working towards doing some great things for our company and more so our customers.
Very, very well said. And ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to check that out again, Danavation, DANAVATION.com. You can find it there, or computeramerica.com, and we'll have a link right there on our homepage. And yeah, we'll have everything that we talked about here today. Once again, this conversation was great. I did not know what to expect, but I think you blew all those expectations out of the water. John Ricci, you have been very knowledgeable, and I want to thank you for coming on the show and telling our audience about smart labeling.
Appreciate the opportunity, and stay safe and stay warm.
Perfect. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. So John, I'm going to go ahead and be very, very rude, and just kind of close the Zoom call that we're on. But this should be up a little bit later on tonight, and I want to thank you for coming on the program. And until next time, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Great, you too. Thanks. It's been awesome. Right. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Guys.
All right, guys, now we're going to go ahead and move on to computer and technology news. And that's going to be brought to you by Computer America. And that's where we cover all the latest tech news, topics, anything like that. We have a couple of great stories. And the interview ran long, but hey, it's always a lot of fun when that happens. And we definitely appreciate it when it does. Thank you to Danavation. Thank you to John for being so generous with their time. So everyone, computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. There we go. Okay, so a couple of things here. Lots of different ways that we could take this. Not a lot of time to cover a lot of these, but let's go ahead and talk about. Man, we have a lot of state-run kind of stuff. Okay, Bitcoin. Nice little update here for this story. Bitcoin surpasses 50 grand. It's crazy what this run has been. 50 grand for the first time as major companies jump into crypto. And that's what they're claiming, that a lot of these a lot of these coins are responding to validation. In some cases, validation by Tesla, MasterCard, BNY Mellon. They've all shown the support for cryptocurrencies, and many crypto investors believe that the current bull run is different than a late 2017 bubble, but that could be, that could be a wait and see kind of situation. The current price as of, kind of talking about it right now, and one of the problems with using this as a currency is just this inherent volatility. Because think about this. This story was written, it reached $50,176. As of, let's see, I think after about 4 hours later, it dipped down to $47,850. So, a 4% difference. That volatility still scares a lot of potential investors, especially when it comes to institutions or, big companies like this. Because, imagine if someone pays for their Lamborghini in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin, and you're still sitting on that Bitcoin 4 hours later, you just lost 4% of your profit. Or potentially all of your profit, if you have the entire purchase amount sitting in your account, you just lost all that profit. If you have profit margins that are, 1%, 2%, so on and so forth, 4 hours later, today, in one of the best days it's had ever, there it goes. The volatility is a great thing for, I guess, this upward ascent that we're seeing. Hitting over $50,000, it's great, it's perfect, but then dropping back down after there was a kind of a little bit of a sell-off. These developments have led many crypto investors to believe that the latest bull run is different from past rallies. Bitcoin skyrocketed in 2017 when everyone kind of learned about Bitcoin. It went up to $20,000 before it dropped 80% of its total price. Now, obviously, a CEO of MicroStrategy says that he does not think this is similar, saying that Bitcoin is in a much more stable asset class today than it was 3 years ago. It used to be dominated by leveraged retail traders on international markets with a lot of leverage. And they say that I think that starting in March of 2020, you saw institutions start to arrive, and in 2021, you're going to see that trend continue. What the actual end result of Bitcoin, of cryptocurrency in general is, who's to say? That's anyone's guess. If you know someone who fundamentally knows the answer to that, bring them on the show, because they're a witch and we need to expose them, because that's, looking into the future, there's a lot going for Bitcoin, but there's a lot working against it. And for companies that need to operate on some sort of predictability, a decentralized currency, I think right now is a very hard sell to them. But clearly, it is catching on to some extent with prices topping $50,000. So that was the big story of the day. There are many other stories, including the fact that North Korea may have hacked Pfizer servers looking for COVID data. North Korea and cyber espionage, that's becoming more of a thing. No longer are the jokes that North Korea doesn't even have computers. And then, of course, you have other ones, including Facebook users rarely saw voting misinformation labeled false, and that's a study. So Facebook in trouble for its content management process. And then let's see. One little hopeful one, because this one's pretty cool. We'll also throw into the show notes this story here about researchers levitated a small tray using nothing but light. That's pretty darn cool. They said that they wanted to see if those plates could levitate, lofted solely by the power of light-induced flow, or photophoresis. And turns out hey, it worked. And this article here will be included in the show notes. Everyone, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on Computer America. It's been a lot of fun. Once again, thank you to Danavation for coming on the show. And if you want to find out more, enter our giveaway. That will be happening all month long in February. And yeah, that should be wrapping up here in about 14 days. 200,000 of you have entered the contest, and hey, we want to thank you so much for tuning into the show and supporting us. So everyone, have a great day. Thank you so much. We'll catch you here next time, and until then, bye everyone.